All right, everybody, welcome to Let's Get Deep Bible Study. Tonight, we are going to go through Genesis chapter 26. And this is, Isaac beginning to foster his own relationship with Yahuwah. And so, yeah, guys, let's get started. Let me pull up. Can you guys see the notes? Want to make sure
No.
y'all can see the notes.
Where do I go?
There should be a tab on your Zoom that might say like more. And if you click on it, it should say like notes. And if you click on it, the note should be visible for you. If not, we're going to read everything in the notes anyway. So if you can't see it,
I don't see it, Samaria.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's there.
Let me
Y'all-
see. I'm gonna try to
Notes.
share it again.
Okay.
Hold on.
I know I used my laptop last time and then it showed up. So
okay.
I'm on my iPad, and like she said, if you go to more,
Yep.
if you hit
Okay.
notes, yeah, and then start collaborating, you should see it. Or click on Let's Get Deep.
Yeah, so it shows that it's collaborating with everyone.
Got it.
Got it?
If you can't see the notes, then I will try to copy and paste certain things into the chat. But the notes are always sent out also after the study also for everybody to see.
All right. Okay. So Genesis 26. There was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Amalek, king of the Philistines, into Gerar. And Yahuwah appeared unto him and said, Do not go down to Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And so the first part of the notes, we're talking about Yah is basically saying that he is going to establish the covenant, the promise that he swore to his father Abraham. And he's also telling him, I know there's a famine in the land, and there's this country, Egypt was the most advanced civilization at the time, and they had the resources, they had the food, they had the money, they had the resources, the prosperity to help all these other countries who were fleeing into Egypt during the time of this famine. And Yah saying, I know the common sense move would be go down to this place that has all these resources. But I'm saying don't go to the place that has the resources. I'm saying stay in the place where the famine is being affected, and I'm going to bless you here. And so we're seeing that Yah is asking Isaac for his own dedication in a faith walk, in a faith journey, just like he told Abraham, leave your father's house, your country, your family, your friends, and come walk with me. Let me show you who I am. And so I want to break down the word established, because T did it. Oh, I'm gonna let you do it, T, because you broke it down. Yeah, so T broke down the word established in Hebrew, and she did it by the pictograph. And so she broke it down letter by letter, and it shows a beautiful picture of what the word established actually means in the Hebraic understanding.
So like Samaria said, in other words, when Yah was telling Isaac that he wanted to establish him, he was, pretty much saying that he wanted to prove Isaac. He wanted to raise him up and investigate him in order to ratify the oath that he made with Abraham, his son, through his son, sorry. So what does it look like to be established? The word is kum. It's Qum in the English, and it's kaf, wav, or vav, and mem in Hebrew. So the picture of the kaf is the sun on the horizon, like a sun that is setting or that is rising. And then wav is the tent peg for a house or a tent, to secure it. And then mem is water. So kaf, it could mean to condense circle or cycle in time. Wav is to add, secure, or hook, and Mem is chaos, mighty, or blood. And it has other meanings too, but these are just the meanings that I pulled out as well. So we, by these, the Hebrew letters, like, you know, and we know that these are action words. When Yahuwah establishes you, then you are awakened or risen up by his mighty hand and placed on a solid foundation. That is what it looks like to be established in Yahuwah. It's a cycle of pruning and refinement that Abba Yah takes us through that allows us to rise up and stand firmly on the foundation that he's created, you know, essentially. So Yahuwah, our Father, is the Wav. He's the tent peg. He's the security. He's the one that adds to and raises us up. And he's the only one that can secure us in our rightful place. And it's like a house being built over time on a solid foundation. And I think that, like, it's important to note that the cloth, it symbolizes time, because, you know, like, a day can be seen as the sun setting and the sun, you know, rising, right? So we see that Kaf is kind of giving us a sense of like a cycle in time. So when we think of the word kum, or we think about being established, it's something that happens over time. Like it implies endurance, or the act of being established over time. And just another picture of that could look like, you know, rising from a lower position up to a higher position as well.
And I think this is so important for all of us, because we are all at different stages in our being awakened, being risen up, being established in the truth of who Yahuwah is and who Yahusha is. And to understand that Yahuwah is the one that established you in his truth. He woke you up. He stood you up. He rose you up. And now he took you from a lower position of maybe you had a little bit of understanding of who God was and whatever your religious construct was, and he took you out of that. And now he's raising you to a higher, authentic station in his truth. And so as T was breaking down the word established, it's showing that this is going to take time. This is him establishing you, fulfilling the prophecy that all men will be drawn unto him. And so being established is not an overnight thing. It's not a 1 year thing. It's not a 6 month thing. It is an endurance thing. And so only Yahuwah can establish you. Only he can set you in the right position. Only he can walk with you and teach you these things. And so as we see this story of Isaac, I want us to be able to see ourselves in Isaac, but also see ourselves in the people around Isaac as well. Because we're going to see how distractions come about as Yahuwah is trying to work with just you by yourself, and all these other things are trying to influence what Yah is trying to show you, and how he's trying to lead you and establish you in his covenant, in his promise, in the prophecy of drawing all men unto him. So like we were saying, there's a famine in the land, and instead of Isaac heading to Egypt, Yah's like, I want you to stay in this pass-through place. Because a lot of times we're like, Yah can just go over here and get all the knowledge from this person. This person seems like they got it all together. This person looks so established. They have everything that it looks like I need. And Yah's like, stay in the pass-through place. Stay in the place that looks like there's nothing. Stay where you are. You may think that you don't know anything. You may think that you're a babe, or that you just woke up, and Yah's like, stay there. I want you to embrace not having the answers, because I want to walk with you. Staying in the pass-through place and not going to a place that has all the answers is Yah is saying, I want to be with you in this pass-through place. It's going to force you to have to do more working of the hand. It's going to force you to have to rely on me instead of look to the dependency upon another human, another person, or another place. Yah is saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable in this pass-through place, because I'm going to be with you and I'm going to bless you. And they're going to know that your wisdom and your understanding came from me and not from a man. And so I'm trying to do like a bigger picture. Yes, we're talking about Isaac, but we like to read the Bible with an understanding of this is practical application for our lives. And so if we're just looking at it as a story as Isaac learning how to walk with Yah, but not us learning how to walk with Yah, we're missing the deeper meaning in the instruction, because this is the Torah, Genesis part of Torah, the instruction on how to walk with Yah, what it looks like, even when he's like, stay in the famine, stay where it looks like there's nothing. So when I do bless you, like Catherine saying, when I do make a way out of no way, you know it's me, because you're being obedient to what I told you. And so I put on here, each patriarch has to endure through a hardship and trust Yah anew. The faith of your ancestors, or the faith of Isaac's father, has to be tried in him, as in it has to be tried in you. Just as Isaac, we must agree to lean and trust on Yah for ourselves. The relationship that Abba Yah had with our parents should add validation and confidence when he calls us into personal closeness. But oftentimes we want to go to where it seems easier, where it seems like everyone would normally go for help. But in these moments, Yah is saying, stay here, stay in the pass-through place, stay in the pass-through house, stay in the pass-through financial situations, stay in the place that requires you to trust me more. And there's more working of your hands, because you have to keep me at the forefront of your mind. The pass-through place will often test your patience, but it is to refine your spirit for the maturing of your faith in Yah. So I'm gonna stop there before we go any further. Questions, comments, insights. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just talk.
So in a sense, I guess this is like his wilderness, would you say? Okay. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I was saying, yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
No, fair. Okay, that makes sense. The kum word just reminded me of in the New Testament where he says to the girl, Talitha kum, right? Arise. And yeah, this last year it really struck me like kumbaya, right? Come, arise. Yeah. And I thought, we're taught it's something different. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. There's no any other talking points or things y'all want to point out. I'm going to keep going. Let me check the chat. I got to keep remembering to go back and forth with the chat.
I got you, sis.
Okay. I see there's I missed 4 chats, so I don't know what people are saying because I'm not looking. Oh, T, you were posting the chat stuff. Okay. All right. I got to go back. Okay.
I just want to add to that, Samaria. I just think that was a really good breakdown and synopsis, because a lot of times, when we, or coming in the truth, or even when Christianity, when you got saved, or whatever, you're excited, and so you want to know all the things, but there's a time and a season for everything, because when you come into it, you're a babe. And so you need to sit with Yah and let him teach you, and you need to learn and all these good things. And some stuff you're not ready for yet. And so it's okay that you don't know everything. And, but you have that zeal. And so, but there has to be a balance there, because you can jump into a lot of different things that you're not ready for because you're still on milk, and you need to drink that milk. And don't be trying to get over here and get to the oatmeal and get to some meat and all this kind of stuff, because you're going to choke. And we see it with our babies, we can't take in all kind of doctrines and all kind of things because we're so excitable. We got to sit down and spend some time with Yah and let him teach us from the word, reading that word, ingesting that word, and letting that thing become life to us. And then maybe we can venture out to some other stuff once he's matured us a little bit. And so what you're talking about, him sitting here in the pass-through place, that's where it took me to, because we have that zeal, and that zeal is great. You need that zeal, but there's a time and a season for everything. And you may not be mature enough to go and delve into some of the things that we want to delve in. So that's my 2 cents.
That's so good that you said that, sis, because we were having a conversation about giving an analogy of the adult table versus the kid table, right? So it's one big table, right? But
Hallelujah.
like sectioned off, it's like the adults sitting down here having an adult conversation. You might have like the young adults, over there, like a little bit older and a little bit more mature, and they having their own conversation. Then you have the children, who are, maybe eating a little bit of solids, but then you have the babies, like, so you have the levels of like, people at the table. So even though when we first come in, we're babes, right? We're still drinking milk, but we're still sitting at the table, right? We're
Right.
still there. So Samaria and I were like just giving that analogy of like, we are, we have to be comfortable with just sitting at the table. And as we mature, then our position changes as well, So
Hallelujah.
as we mature, I get a little bit older, I can sit with the young adults, now I can engage in those conversations because I'm matured and I can comprehend those conversations. Versus a child trying to sit at an adult table and trying to be a part of an adult conversation, because y'all know those kids be trying to be in grown folks' business. And when you try to do that, they don't really know what they're talking about. They just regurgitating something that either we told them or somebody else told them, and they're trying their best to try to explain it, but they don't have a full comprehension of certain subjects. I'm not saying that our kids are, they don't know what they're talking about, but when they're trying to engage in adult conversations, they don't know what they're talking about, right? They haven't gotten the experience yet to know what they're talking about. So I think that was a good just picture of like what you just said, Akoti, about staying in your lane and being comfortable with where you are and where Yah has you.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, so we're all at the same table. And I think that's the thing. I used another analogy earlier. I was talking to Shira. She's traveling right now, or she's in Florida now with her mom for a wedding. So, pray for her for safe travels too. But I was telling her that Yah kind of gave me this so I want to give this analogy. I want to give it a little context. So I started deconstructing from religion back in 2000, like 16, 17, 18. But I didn't really fully surrender to be obedient to what I was learning until 2020. So I had all this knowledge, all this information, right? But I didn't apply any of it. So like all that knowledge I had meant nothing if I wasn't going to apply it to my life. And when I started to apply it, I was like, oh, all that information I had is great, but like it doesn't really mean anything if I'm not actually doing the work to let Yah lead me. And so in 2020, I was reading in Leviticus, and it talked about the children of Israel going into after they were in the wilderness, like Marie was saying, like their wilderness, Yah was trying to teach them and trying to like educate them on how to trust him, how to lean on him. But when they got to the promise, they said, when you go into the land, there's a law in Leviticus where Yahuwah was telling Moses to tell the children that when you go into the land, the first 3 years that you plant your seed trees, they shall be uncircumcised unto you. The first 3 years, don't touch it, don't eat it. It's not really good for fruit. It's not good for you to eat it yet. The 4th year shall be holy to be praised. But in the 5th year, it shall be food for you. And I was like, and as the more I started to walk with Yah, he kept bringing that scripture back to my remembrance. I'm just like, why do you keep putting that in my spirit, Yah? And he was showing me this timeline of maturity. He was like, just like the trees in the promised land, these trees are in the promised land. The seed has taken root, it's established, it's firm, right? But the first 3 years, I need you to just let me cultivate you. Let me fill you up, give you what you need so that when you do produce fruit, it's edible. But right now, these first 3 years that you're producing fruit, that fruit is just for you. That's just for you to mature on and to be established. The 4th year, it's holy to be praised. You are now seeing the work that Yah has been doing in you. You are now like, oh my gosh, I feel this. I'm in this. I got this. But it's not time for you to impart your wisdom or your knowledge or start to teach on a big scale yet, right? Your fruit is still not good for other people to eat from, but it's holy to be praised. Yah's like, look at this beautiful tree. It's in the land. It's established. It's producing. It's flourishing. But the 5th year, now when someone eats from your fruit, it is digestible, it is sweet, it is good, it's mature, and you can tell them how it was made because you took the time to read the word. Don't despise the milk. Don't despise the sincerity of the word. Don't despise the birthright, like we talked about last week. Don't despise the things that we may think is just for babies. Because I'm going back to just reading Torah and I'm like, whoa, these are not little things. These are the foundational principles that some people call simple, but they're not simple. And the beautiful thing about, as you allow Yah to cultivate you, me reading that thing, my first year of applying Torah, I was like, okay, cool, about trees, cool. But the longer, and every year I went back to that scripture, Yah was showing me like, no, this is deeper than just about plants. This is deeper than just about that. I want you to see that when I establish you in a place, you are established here, but it's going to take some time before you produce fruit that you can pass out to everybody. Because when you first get here, it's about you establishing you in me. But we be so quick to be trying to focus on what everybody else is. It's like, no. Take some time for me to establish you. Because I promise you, I've seen a lot of brothers and sisters, you know, they get in real quick, they're zealous, and then they start listening to somebody else and they get whoosh. That's the parable about the seed fell over here and it grew up real quick, but then hard winds came and it blew it away. We don't want to be those seeds. We want to be a seed that took strong root, and we took the time to foster, like T said, to establish that foundation over time and what Yah was doing in us. And so I just want to share that because I didn't get the revelation of like fully what Yah was showing me in Leviticus. I'm thinking like, you know, I read Leviticus, but I kind of rushed over it, you know, because I'm like, what is so important about 3 years? The tree is uncircumcised to you. It should be like uncircumcised, like don't touch it, it's unclean. Don't eat from that tree yet. I'm like, but it's in the promised land. He's like, exactly. So why are you complaining that I told you not to touch it? You're still here. You're in the promised land, but just wait before you start trying to go and, I guess, you know, eat from every tree and whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because the more and more that I sit with Yah, I start to see deeper levels and deeper revelation of the things I thought were just simple things. And so I'm saying as an encouragement to like, as Yah is establishing you, as you're eating the sincerity of his word, he's the one that gives revelation. So, you know, you're like, oh, wow, that's so deep. I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, Yah has the same deepness for everybody. It's just, we got to fill up in the word. So when he does try to reveal something to us, we can connect it to what he's already said in scripture.
Well, you got to be obedient first.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that like even when T's breaking down all the word about security and the peg and different parts of that, it's you, if he say sit still, you got to sit still. Like, how are you supposed to hear? And as you're talking, Samari, I'm thinking about how do you get your confidence if you hadn't have been obedient? Because it could be studying, you could be a quick learner. I mean, you know, people sometimes they just be on fire, lit up and everything else. But for your assignment, right, and to be released out there to give a word and certain things, you had to have more root and more, you know. So I just keep hearing confidence. Like, how would you have had your confidence if you would have did it at the second year or the third year? You're saying, you're talking about that, what's the difference between the third year and the fifth year? But confidence, because you're first obedient, you know, and then he'll reveal those things to you in the right time. Like LaTanya was saying, just what's our season, what's our timing.
Samari, you on mute.
I was like, all of this is so akkad, or all this is like of the same spirit of Yah's spirit, because as some of y'all know, I've been writing this book, Stages of Surrender, and the first stage is literally be still. Like the first stage is literally to be still. Yah's like, be quiet, relax, like become nothing. Know that you're at a place where there's nothing for you to grasp from but just me. I need you to be okay with just being still. And like that is so hard for us, right? Because like you were saying, we're so zealous, we're excited, like I'm learning this, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. He's just like, okay, I know you're learning all this stuff and you're unlearning all these things, but like, have you take a moment to just sit with me? Like, don't forget why I stood you up. Don't forget why I stood you up to get to know me in truth. And I'm the one that's going to do it for you. I'm the one that's going to reveal it to you. And so when he was showing me that, he's like, the first stage is just to be still. I just need you to be still and then get to know me. Be still, like be still and know that I am Elohim. Those are the first two steps. Be still and know. Be still and know. You can't know Yah unless you be still. If you're like that, you can't know Yah unless you obey his command to be still and sit with him. So all of this is just like all goes together. So I just wanted to share that because I was just like, wow, this is all like coming together as we're reading Genesis 26. um, and so we kind of put a scripture on here for Genesis 17, 7-8, where we're just reiterating what Yah has said to Abraham, because he's saying again to Isaac. So we want to show in Genesis 17, verse 7, he says, I will confirm, I will kum my covenant. I will confirm, establish my covenant that's between you and me and your future offspring throughout the generations. It is a permanent covenant to be your Elohim and the Elohim of your offspring after you. And to you and your future offspring, I will give the land where you are residing, all the land of Canaan, as a permanent possession. I will be their Elohim. So again, Yahuwah is not a man that he should lie. So he said this to Abraham about his offspring. And now here we are with his offspring in Genesis 26. And he's telling him, he's literally reiterating what he told Abraham. So he's confirming this covenant with Abraham's offspring. So 26 verse 4, and he's gonna again, he's like, I will, now he's speaking to Isaac. We just saw him speaking to Abraham. Now he's speaking to Isaac. I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give them all the seeds of these countries, and they in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because now he's telling Isaac, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And so like, boom, we're seeing this. He's like, I'm going to bless you because your father obeyed my law, statutes, and commandments. And so we know that that is the knowledge, the revelation that we are now receiving in Yah. It's like, I'm going to bless you because you are keeping my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So we're just seeing this, this confirmation of a covenant, a permanent covenant that was made with Abraham. Is now we are being the receivers of this blessing, but it does come with a because you kept. But yeah. And also put in here Deuteronomy 9:5, kind of just reiterating everything that Yah said to the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt. He's reminding them again that like, you're getting this land because of the loyalty and the obedience of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So again, Yah continues to reaffirm, like we said earlier when we were doing Genesis study, it's about Yah continuing to reaffirm and reestablish his covenant. And so yeah, that's what Deuteronomy verse 9 and 5 are basically Yah saying to Israel, and in Numbers 32 and 11. But this next part, we're going to see that Isaac, verse 7, Isaac dwelt, in Gerar, he obeyed, and the man of that place asked him of his wife. And he said, she is my sister, for he feared to say that she is my wife, lest the men, should kill him, because Rebekah was beautiful to look upon. And it came to pass when he had been there a long time that Amalek, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting, or basically flirting, making nice with his wife Rebekah. And so Amalek called Isaac and said, behold, for surely she is thy wife, and you said she is my sister. And Isaac said unto him, because I thought I was going to die for her. And Amalek said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people might have lightly have lain with your wife, and thou should have brought guilt upon us. So Amalek charged all of his people, saying, he that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in the land, and received in the same year 100-fold, and Yahuwah blessed him. And so I want to cover, because we kind of talked about it last week, this cycle that we see Isaac repeating that his father did. And so I titled this like the cycle of coping. So we don't make it look so like it's just about Isaac, but I want to, like, again, practically, how can we see ourselves? The cycle of how we cope, are our immature faith, or our lack of knowledge of who Yah is. And so in Isaac's situation, we see an ingrained fear of death at the hands of other nations. And he felt that he needed to lie or to protect himself by deception. And so this is like how generational patterns or traumas manifest. And so I put Genesis 20:2-13 because it's a reference to what Abraham did when he lied about Sarah being his sister as well. And I want us to really reflect and give ourselves a grace break as we are coping, and how, we may be a little immature in our faith right now, and how we may have a lack of knowledge of who Yah is. And he's just like, I need you to see that I'm trying to foster something in you. So I said, grace break. When we walk with Yah, it is imperative to understand that yes, your parents had a beautiful and deep relationship with Elohim. That might not be everybody's case, I know that, but in this sense of Isaac's sense, your parents may have had a deep relationship with Elohim, but that does not negate the fact that they were not perfect in their walk. They are not perfect in their understanding. They were not perfect in their trust level and in their surrender to Elohim. In looking at them as a beautiful example, we must not look at them as the perfect example, our blueprint. Because if we do, we miss the opportunity to correct the incorrect patterns, habits, and assumed ideas of Yahuwah while he is making space for us to meet him face to face in his fullness. I want to say that because a lot of times from like experience, I've talking to maybe like some older people and it's like, well, my parents, you know, they walk away. I know they was God fearing. It's just like, but they're not a perfect example of obedience and surrender to Yah. So we cannot make them our blueprint and our pedestal for a relationship with Yah. When he's like, I'm giving you opportunity to get to know me. And I'm asking you, will you trust me and walk with me and allow me to teach you and guide you? And so like, we're just seeing that if Isaac had his father on this pedestal and Yah's just like, you know, you didn't have to lie about that. I was going to take care of you, you know, but he was like, well, my dad did it, so I'm going to do it. And so like, we see this pattern. And so I know there are generational patterns and generational curses that Yah is working. He wants to work with us so we can break those with him. That is why we have Yahusha, because all things are possible. All things can be broken. All things can be cleansed and renewed. But it's also not just saying, oh, I believe I'm cleansed and renewed. But Yah's like, okay, but now walk with me in it, you know? And so that's what we're seeing him do with Isaac. And I know T, you had something for this part too.
Pretty much just reiterating, you know, like what we already was saying about, you know, the beginning stages of Abba Yah proving Isaac's faith, you know, like that was another example of proving him, just like he did with Abraham, right? Just, you know, showing him himself in a sense. And we just have to remember that like our fear and our obedience to Yah is our protection and our peace. So we shouldn't have to lie or manipulate a situation in fear, because just like when Samaria was praying, you know, the word says that he did not give us a spirit of fear. So we have to walk in the boldness and the confidence, you know, that Yah has given us. But, you know, it's a process, right? Because we can see the beginning stages that he was doing in Isaac, just like he, you know, did with Abraham. So I just put like, while Yahuwah is in the process of establishing Isaac, he is showing Isaac his lack of trust in him and building up Isaac's boldness. And Yahuwah allowed Abimelech to see Isaac playing with Rebekah to realize that she was Isaac's wife. So he had already worked it out for him. He already had the provision there. We just have to walk in, you know, we just really have to walk in the word that Yah has given us, because Yah had already told Isaac that he was going to bless him in that land and he was going to establish him in that land. So we have to hold tight to those promises that Yah has given us, you know, and walk in that boldness.
Hallelujah. Any comments, questions, concerns, anything that y'all were reading before, you know, at this part until 12 that you know wanted to speak on or that y'all noticed? Okay. So our next part, we're gonna start talking about blessings, envy, and the enemy trying to discourage your labor. Because this is what we're going to see happening. I know T said she's going to break down the word blessed, because in verse 12, because it says, in Yahuwah blessed him, because he sowed in the land and he received the same year 100-fold. And so we're already seeing that Yahuwah is blessing Isaac. And so it says that the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with dirt. And Amalek said to Isaac, go away from us, for you are so much mightier than we. And Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gur and dwelt there. So Isaac is minding his business. He just minding his business being blessed. He minding his business. He's being obedient to Yah. He's walking in what Yah has called him to walk in. Yah didn't tell him to go to Egypt. He told him to stay here in this place and to stay in the pasture place. And Yah is blessing him in the pasture place. And the people around him are like, who is this person? Why is Yah blessing him? And instead of inquiring of Yahuwah, like, who is this Elohim that you serve that he's blessing you in our land? They decide to be vindictive and evil-hearted and put dirt on the work of his father. I'll put dirt on the work that Abraham had done to set up and establish for Isaac. You know, because it was also part of the inheritance. Anything that Abraham did went to Isaac. And so now these people who are envious are just trying to diminish the work that Abraham had did. And Isaac in his wisdom, you know, gave me Proverbs like, wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? So I feel like, again, I'm using my sanctified imagination. Isaac is like, all right, I know what's going on. I'm not even about to argue with these people. I'm just going to keep it moving. Like, I know that there's envy here. There's jealousy here. And in my wisdom, why would I try to confront or plead my case with the people who don't want to hear from me at all? They just want me to leave. And so we see him just leave. So he didn't pick a fight. He used his wisdom of knowing when to tarry and when not to tarry. We're going to cover that a little bit later. But yeah, like, and I brought up Exodus too, where it talks about, and he said to his people, this is the Egyptian Pharaoh talking about the Israelites. And Pharaoh said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them. So we're seeing this reoccurring motive of like a stranger in the land is seeing that the people are well off and they're growing, they're becoming mighty. And instead of, you know, treating them with hospitality, they're like, we gon' put dirt in it well. We gon' be cunning. We're going to make their lives harder. That is what we're seeing. So yeah, and then T put James 3:16. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder in every evil practice. And so again, we're seeing this thing about envy and evil practices, and the people are jealous because they have their own ambitions that they want, but they're seeing Isaac be blessed in just his obedience to Yah, and now they're doing evil practices. And okay, I'm gonna keep reading. And Isaac departed from thence, and he built his tent in Gerar, and he dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called the names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of spring water. And the herdsmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Escah, because they strove with him. And they dug another well and strove after that also. So he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well. And for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now Yahuwah has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba. Oh, you got something?
No. Over the meaning of the wells.
Oh, I didn't. Did you break them down?
I did.
Oh, so my mom's here, y'all. Sorry. You gonna break it down, Mom?
Well, I only broke 2 of them down.
Okay. What's the first 2?
Sitna means hatred, enmity.
Hatred, enmity. That was the second one.
That's the second one.
Did you break down the first one? Does anybody else have the name for the first one? For Esek?
Esek, yeah.
Esek? Do y'all have what the meaning of that one is?
Quarrel.
Quarreling.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Contention. Yeah, contention, quarreling.
But
Strife.
notes on my Bible say that the word is the same Hebrew root as the name Satan for Sitna.
Mm,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
And what was the last one? Did anyone have the last one? The
Oh.
one where he stayed?
Rehoboth.
Rehoboth?
Wide spaces.
Wide spaces, basically like enlarged territory.
Yeah.
And so we put a note on here in our notes that says like, for us to say to ourselves, I'm going to do the work that Yah has called me to do, regardless of others trying to fill up our wells of dirt. So Isaac continued to do the work, digging wells, and he still walked in peace. He still walked in love. And so I know it's like so hard, but like our actions will always speak louder than words. Because we can't control what others do. We have to understand that walking in the promise and covenant and covering of Yah will anger and irritate those who are not. Your job is not to argue or convince that you are right or that you are in right standing. Our interaction can either cause harm or leave room for Yahuwah to reveal what he is doing and who and what he has established. And we put Galatians 6:9. Do not get weary in your well-doing. In due season, you shall reap if you faint not. So if Isaac would have just gave up after the second time, he wouldn't have found the well with the open space where Yah was like, all this space is for you.
Mhm.
And so for us in the same context, like keep working. I know it gets hard sometimes where people are throwing dirt on your name. People are throwing dirt on the word of Yah. You're just sending out scriptures and they're saying like, that's not what that means. And they're cutting you down and they're backbiting. And y'all just like, just keep digging. Just keep move around, leave that space and go dig another well, go work in another field. They didn't want you over there. Okay, pack up and leave, go work somewhere else. But you continue to do the work that Yah has called you to.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so he went there. And it says, and Yahuwah appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the Elohim of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee and will bless thee and will multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And Isaac built an altar there and called upon the name of Yahuwah and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. And so it's like sometimes in our well-doing, like, yeah, I just need a confirmation, please. And like we're seeing that after he continued to dig and Yah was like, you have rest here. Yah came and appeared before him and was like, I'm the God of Abraham. I'm the God of your father. And I'm telling you that I'm with, don't fear. I know there's people all around you and they've been hostile towards you, but I am your Elohim and I'm with you and I'm going to bless you. And so I think that was just so, it was just beautiful seeing Yah's character that like, he knows that we get weary sometimes. He knows that we're just like, yeah, like done this before and it didn't work out. I went over here and it didn't receive me. I went here. They didn't want to receive your word. It wasn't that they didn't receive me, but like they didn't want to receive your word. They didn't want to be established in your word. And Yah's just like, I see you. It's okay. But I'm with you. Like, don't worry. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but like I am blessing you. Like this is blessing. And so then, Isaac, he built an altar and we talked about in some previous chapters about building an altar, not like you have to build a physical altar, but like building a memorial to when Yah speaks to you, building a memorial, a reminder in your mind and your heart when Yah has confirmed a thing to you to keep you going in seasons where you feel like, yeah, I need a confirmation. And maybe he's not giving you the confirmation that you want in the time that you need it, but he's like, you have a memorial. I've done this for you before and I'm gonna do it for you again. So build your memorials for when Yah shows up in your life and you're just like, oh my gosh, wow, thank you, Abba, like for confirming, for strengthening me, for encouraging me, because that can be a storehouse for when in times where you're striving again and you just need an extra bit of encouragement. And Yah's like, think on the former things, think on the things that I've done before you in the past. I have more for you.
I want to remind you to give the testimony because it's a perfect Oh, it's so beautiful. It's a perfect example of what we broke down in this section. So
Okay, I definitely forgot. Okay, I'll share it. So for these last couple of months, I've been really struggling to finish this book, Stages of Surrender. I'm on the last part, and the last step of Stage of Surrender is heal, like Rapha, heal, and Salam, which is covenant of peace, or it's like shalom, but it's like a deeper root of shalom, which means like covenant of peace. And for the last couple of months, I'm like, yeah, am I doing what you call me to do? Like, I know like you called me to speak to certain places and go places and give prophetic words. Like, am I doing this in my own accord? Or like, did you really call me to this? Like knowing that he's appeared to me, he's spoken to me, he's shaking up my world, he showed me all these things and he's confirmed it in his scripture. But like I was in a season where I'm just like, yeah, like I'm am I walking in what you called me to, or I'm walking in my own heart? Like, please, I just need a confirmation. And so I said that some weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I need a sign and confirmation that like I'm doing what you want, like I'm doing your will that you placed in my life. Am I supposed to be like having Bible studies and like encouraging my sisters and being like, hey, just come back to Yah, hey, just come back to Yah, like is that what you called me to? And earlier this week, I've been going through Torah again. So I'm at the end of Numbers right now. And as I was reading, I was listening to an audio version of Numbers. And Yah is speaking to the sons of Levi. I don't know if y'all remember this part, but they're in the wilderness. And the daughters of Midian came and they out there having sex with the women. Like, and one of the sons of Levi is in the tent with a Midian woman. And another son of Levi comes and he throws a spear in the midst of them having sex, and it goes through both of them. And Yah tells the son of Levi that through the spear, through them, he's like, I am giving you a covenant of peace because of you have stayed my wrath, because you have been zealous for Yahuwah your Elohim. And when I was hearing the audiobook, I was like, I paused it and I looked at numbers. I'm like, oh, covenant of peace. That's literally the last step of Stages of Surrender. I've never heard the term, I'm going to give you a covenant of peace. That was just like a word that Yah gave me when I was writing down the stages, but I had never seen it in scripture, y'all. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is confirmation that like I did hear Yah when he gave me the blueprint or the outline of what are the stages of surrender, and the last one being, because you walk with me in the zeal and the righteousness of my commandments, you have a covenant of peace to walk boldly in what I've called you to do. And you don't wink at rebellion. You don't wink when people mock or people blatantly do wicked things. Cause like, this is another man. This is probably his brother, his cousin of the tribe of Levi, who knows the law, who is in the priestly order and is out here having sex in amongst the tents while the people of Israel are all around. They're tents, y'all. They can hear what's going on. And so this other man who is zealous for the word of Yah, who is actually guarding and keeping the commands of Yah and walking in that authority, he goes in and he stops sin right where it's at. He's like, we're not, and Yah said, you did well because you stopped my rage from spreading amongst the rest of Israel. Like our act when we walk in our covenant of peace with Yah, when he's established us, he healed us, he's restored us, and he's established his word in us, and we have an understanding of like I know what Yah said is holy and righteous and pure, and I know what is unclean, profane, and unclean, and we have to walk in that authority, but also be zealous, because when we walk in that authority, when we walk in our covenant of peace, you don't know how your obedience can save somebody's life. Because his obedience saved so many other people of Israel who are watching this wickedness happen, realize, oh, we don't play about this wickedness, and it saved so many other people's lives. But I needed that confirmation to read that in Torah, where Yah is declaring to a man who was zealous for his namesake, for his Torah, and was like, on you and your descendants, I'm giving you a covenant of peace. And I was just like, and I looked up the word in Hebrew. It's the same word that Yah gave me when I was writing the list, and I had never seen that. And I was just like, thank you, Yah. Like, you didn't have to give me that confirmation, that reminder, but I needed it, because I was really like, yeah, what's going on? Like, am I doing this? Like, why is it so hard for me to finish this book? And like, did I really hear this from you? Or was I just sleep deprived and not like, but he was like, no, I gave you those words, and I tell you, it's nothing but Yah, because I don't know Hebrew like that, but the way that he gave me those words, and reminded me that like, no, this is a process. The stages of surrender are a process. And he basically showed me a blueprint. And now I'm in the process of finishing up explaining how each step and stage may look in your life so you won't be fearful or apprehensive when you feel like, you know, your world is crumbling or y'all's asking you to go to a foreign place or a famine place. And he's like, no, this is on par with, you know, surrender. So I just wanted to share that. I'm glad T reminded me to share that with y'all because yeah, I was getting a little weary, y'all. I was getting a little weary sometimes.
That was real, real good, Samaria. Wow. Because I put in the comments, the community definitely suffers the consequences normally. Like the nation, all of Israel, you know, one person sin, but all of us catch the, you know, get caught up in the wrath, you know? And so, man, that makes me like, wow, you know, because we're supposed to hold one another accountable. And so that, talking about putting some things in perspective, like, you know, we often look at Reuben, how, you know, he felt like he couldn't say anything because he slept with his dad's concubine or whatever, you know, his when it came to like sexual immorality and stuff like that, he felt some type of way because he had that guilt of the sin that he did. But because of who we are, we're still held accountable. We're supposed to, you know, correct our brother and sister, go to them and tell them, and, you know, for this person to do, because we don't know the consequences of those actions in the community, not just affecting us. You know, our disobedience affects the entire community, or, you know. Ooh, that was good. That was good, girl. Ooh.
Yeah, and girl, when I was reading it, I was like, wow. You know, because I was telling, I don't know if I was telling T, I was telling one of y'all, because I talked to a lot of y'all this week. I was telling one of y'all that I was like, yeah, help me understand why I feel like I'm becoming more like zealous. I'm becoming more like irritated when I see wickedness. And I was like, yeah, I feel like this isn't right. And he was like, no. So when I read that in Numbers, y'all, was like, I need you to see that you have to be swift with wickedness, especially with the season we are now. There's so many people who are literally embracing their reprobate mind. And as people become more arrogant in their wickedness and more audacious in their fornication and more blatant with their pride, we have to be zealous for Yah's standard because it can save someone else's life. And yes, he may be ridiculed. I'm pretty sure the man that threw that spear, a lot of people looking at him like, now you had to do all that, but Yah said you did well, you know? And so, not telling you to go out here and spear nobody in the back. That's what I'm saying. We don't do that. But like, you know, and like hidden love, no, like an open rebuke is better than hidden love. So in that aspect of like, you know, I'm not telling you to like go out and shout someone's sin to the rooftop, but like, because, you know, there's an order, there's Torah order, there's a Torah and order about how you come to a brother. You go to them one-on-one first. If they don't hear you, then you bring another witness and you talk to them again. If they don't hear you again, you bring another witness. Now there's two witnesses as you tell them about something that they've done. If they won't hear you, then you bring it before the community. But there's still an order. You don't just jump from, I need to talk to this person, and you go straight to talking about them in the midst of the community. Mm-hmm. There is still, that's why Torah is important, because it teaches us how to interact with our brother and our sister in community. You know, that's your last resort, is like getting on a pulpit or getting in front of a community, you know, city hall and saying, this person been sleeping with so-and-so's wife. No, you don't start there. Sorry, you don't start there. You start with talking in the first, like, hey, brother, I know, you may not know I know, but I know that you are fornicating with so-and-so's wife. And I'm coming before you now that you need to rectify that decision. And if they don't hear you, then you bring somebody else. They don't hear you. The last resort is public ridicule and open rebuke, you know? I just want to say that because I don't want nobody coming here and being like, well, somebody said I could do it. No, go to Torah. What does Torah say? What's the order, proper order of things? But yeah, I want to share that because I know sometimes we can all get weary. And I'm going to read this last part, not this last part. I'm going to read this, continue reading Genesis 26, Genesis 26, before we get into the wisdom of tarrying, who to tarry for and who not to tarry for. But I want to read this part first in Genesis 26, verse 26. Then Amalek went to him from Gur and Ahuzatha, one of his friends, and Pheichlo, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said unto him, wherefore come ye to me, seeing you hate me and have sent me away? And they said, we saw certainly that Yahuwah was with thee, and said, let there be now an oath between us, even between us and you, and let us make a covenant with thee, that you will not do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now the blessed of Yahuwah. And I went to stop because I was like, not they gonna lie out their teeth like that. Like, I know, yes, they didn't put no hands on him, but they did not treat him good. Like, they were adamantly throwing dirt in the wells of his father, and it was like, get away from us, you're too mighty. I don't receive that as being what, and that's why Isaac was like, you done been mean, you done hated me and sent me away, and now you're trying to say that you've done nothing to me? Isaac moves in wisdom right here, where he's like, I'm not about to argue with y'all. Like, you want to cut a covenant with me? You see that Yah's blessing me, but you don't want to cleave to Yah. You just want to make sure that Yah don't judge you for how you treated me. It's kind of like that. It's like they weren't really in the heart posture to receive Yah. They just didn't want to receive the consequences of being an enemy of Yah. And so they're like, we've done nothing but good to you. We haven't been mean to you. We've treated you peacefully. And it's just like, you just lying. But Isaac didn't even say that. And so I'm thinking, like, there's a lesson here. We're just like, sometimes it'd be so quick for us to be like, you done threw dirt on my name. You lied about me. You done spread gossip about me. You done told these people all kinds of foolishness. But Yah's like, sometimes Yah's like, you ain't got to defend yourself. Don't say nothing. And that's so hard. That goes against our flesh, right? That goes against everything in us to just be like, but yeah, he's like, shh. But he's like, shh, don't say nothing. Just be like, okay. All right. And so what did Isaac do? He made a covenant with them. He made them a feast. They did eat, they did drink, and they rose up in the morning, and they swear to one of another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. He said, look, no response is a response. No, for real. And that's something that's hard to learn, but it's a practice. So maybe you didn't do no response the last time someone tried to come at you and like spew false doctrine in your face, or try to tell you that, you know, you can do whatever, and all you gotta do is believe. You know what? You can just be like, you know what? All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and exit this conversation. Or if you've already said all you can say, and if you've already given them the scripture in the word and they want to go against that, you just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go, because clearly this will be unfruitful.
Yeah, and to add on to that, you know, like, we have to give Yah room to fight for us, you know. And when we try to insert ourselves, you know, it creates a messy situation that is not necessarily needed, because we never know what Yah is going to do in that person. And just like Abimelech and his and the chief of his army came back to Isaac and was like, look, like, we want to be an ally with you. Like, we see that Yah is blessing you, and we realized that we were wrong. That's pretty much what they were saying. Like, we realized that we were wrong, and we have to allow Yah to give that, you know, do the work in the other person, even if their heart is not, you know, completely there to where they want to serve Yah, but Yah will still, you know, like, he will still make it to where they will realize their wrongs, you know, and they'll be coming back to you being like, well, you know, like, I know that I was coming against you, but I really ain't had no reason to come against you. Whether they say it or they just come to that realization, we have to allow Yah to fight for us, you know, and help them. I mean, and Yah to allow them to deal with their whatever internally things that they have going on, because obviously that was that was them deflecting on Isaac, because Isaac was just being blessed. Like we said at the beginning, like, he was just living it, going on by his life, being blessed. He ain't bothering nobody, right? He wasn't creating no kind of conflict, no war or nothing in that land. It was peace. And they had some type of internal struggles to where they were like, you know, they had the jealousy and the envy in their heart. And they was like, we don't like this. We wanted you to, you know, do good in him, but we didn't want you to do better than us, you know? So when it came to them doing, you know, them seeing that Yah was establishing him they got jealous and then they start, kind of coming at him. So just a reminder for us, to just give y'all room to fight for us, like I said before, no response is a response. If somebody is coming at you and they're saying, they're purposely sending you something, or, they're just saying, speaking out of their own ignorance, because honestly, it is ignorance. And we all were there at a time where we just responding. Really, you're not listening to respond, but you just trying to respond, right? So we know a lot of people are going to do that. They're going to be irritated that you are being established by Yah, but you have to just continue, to let Yah do the fighting for you, and don't even give that a response, because at that point it becomes a distraction. And we're gonna go into tarrying. That's where the tarrying comes. That's when the wisdom of when to tarry comes, because you'll see in their actions whether or not you are to tarry there or not. So
Yeah, so as he was saying, like to tarry or to tarry not, she put the Hebrew primitive root word meaning to wait, to await, to tarry, to be and to be longing. So like to like extend your stay with that person or in that place. And so I put, Yah has not called us to tarry in a rebellious place. If someone has decided to disregard the word of Yah, it is not your job to convince them that his word is true and good. I put an example of Genesis 19:2, and that's the part where the angels of Yahuwah had went down to Sodom and Gomorrah, and they went to Lot's house, and Lot was like, "Oh, please wash up, eat here, tarry for the night." And they're like, "We will not tarry in this place. We need to get up and go because Yah's about to judge this place." And so we're seeing in that moment Lot saying, "Stay and tarry." And angels are on assignment. They're like, "We will not tarry here because this place is not worthy of us tarrying." Like Yah had already made the judgment. He had already seen and scoped out the place. We're not tarrying here. They don't want to receive the word. They don't want to receive correction. They don't want to receive righteousness. They don't want it. So we're not staying here. Like that is that attitude of knowing when to tarry. And so I was like, you must take your peace with you. And I want you to really focus. You have to take your peace with you. No response is a response, like T said. If a person is not actively trying to understand Yah, the tarrying will be unfruitful. And so in Matthew 10:13-14, we see Yahushua tell them that if a household is worthy, let your peace be on it. But if it is unworthy, let your peace return to you, and whoever shall not receive you nor hear your words when you depart out of that house or city, shake the dust off your feet, because that city would have been better if it was Sodom and Gomorrah. Like that's Yahushua talking about knowing when to tarry and knowing when not to tarry. Once you get a word, they don't receive you. All right, I don't need to tarry here. I need to go on by my business. Keep your peace. Don't, after you give someone a word and they don't want it, if you're still like stressing within your heart and in your mind because they didn't want to receive the word, you didn't take your peace back. Like you left your peace in a place that didn't even want it. You left the word of Yah. You left the goodness of Yah in a place that did not want it. Yah said, Yahushua said, which is Yah speaking, Yah said, take your peace back and move on about your business. Like, I really want us to really like understand when he's saying that parable of just like, go to a place, you give them the word, they don't receive you. That place is not worthy of your peace. And like, this is our Messiah, our King, our High Priest saying that. And so T put, was this 2 Chronicles, ye shall not need to fight in the battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of Yahuwah with you. O Yahudah and Jerusalem, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for Yahuwah will be with you. And so in that same sense of like, how Isaac dealt with the Philistines and how, they were being, wicked against him, he never felt the need to fight or take up arms or try to defend himself. Like he was saying, Yah fights for us. And sometimes we don't give room. We don't even give Yah the room to fight for us because we be like, I'm going to do it. Like, I know what to say. I'm a quote scripture to him. And Yah's like, girl, you still trying to fight. I'm going to just walk away. And it's so humbling. Like this whole experience of surrendering to Yah and being renewed and being and being cleansed from the inside out is a humbling experience. Because a lot of the time, y'all gonna be like, shh, I know they called you this. I know they lying on you. I know all your old church members are saying you fell away. Be quiet. You ain't got to defend. Just let me establish you, because I'm gonna fight for you. And so taking your peace with you is so important. Because a lot of times we give ourselves anxiety and we give ourselves stress because we are so thinking that it's by our words, that it's by our power that someone's going to come to truth, and only Yah can do that. And so I also want to say, moreover, that, tearing in the wrong place or trying to convince somebody or going back and forth with somebody is also a device of the enemy to keep you distracted from the inner work that Yah is calling you to do. And it's always so subtle, and the enemy will always use family and close friends. Why? Because they're close to your heart. The thing that Yah wants to renew and purify. If you are constantly caught up in trying to say, well, my cousin, my sister, my dad, my aunt, my friends, my old family members, they're not getting this word, and I'm trying to, Yah's like, that's a distraction. The enemy got you caught up in trying to bring them the truth, and I'm trying to get you to sit with me so I can establish and purify you for work. But we be so busy looking at what everybody else is saying and thinking what this person posts and what this person is talking about, or how this person's, honoring their Shabbat or whatever the things are, right? I was like, just focus on me, because the heart things is what we're called to. The becoming a living sacrifice, knowing the good, perfect, and pleasing will of Elohim, so we can be living sacrifices. That takes inner work. That's very much like you worried about the twig in somebody else's eye, and you got a whole log in yours. And so a lot of times when we tarry in the wrong places, and we feel like we're tarrying in a place that doesn't want us, that's the enemy that got you in a loop of distraction. And even if you're not tarrying with them in your mind, you're thinking, I could have said this, I could have said that. You're still distracted. So yeah, I just wanted to really make sure, because, oh yes, 1 Corinthians, do not be led astray, because evil communication corrupts good habits or good morals. Not saying that your conversation is evil, but like evil in the sense of like it's dysfunctional. Because like T broke down earlier this week, evil and good is either you're functioning as Yah called you to function, or you're dysfunctional, which is evil. And so a lot of times our conversations are dysfunctional. They're not producing good fruit. So then we corrupt the good habits that Yah is trying to instill in us, because we're engaged in dysfunctional or evil conversation or communication.
Yep. Oh, I have some things that I do want to say, but I do want to wait till we're not recording to say them. So it really ties into all of this. But because it pertains to like just housekeeping with us, I want to wait till we're not recording to say it. So I know that like we're gonna go into, well, we kind of went into 27 a little bit. I know it's like 8:54. Just doing a time check, 8:54 EST. Just doing a time check to see if everybody's good. We can definitely, hit up 27. We didn't do the whole 27, but just some of 27 as well. Maybe I'll just go over the blessed part of it, but I also like after that, then we'll probably just, if Samaria's in agreement with me, we'll just probably stop the recording and then kind of go into backtrack a little bit, so we can go over like some stuff.
Okay. So for the rest of this chapter, we're ooh, my phone didn't want to. I need to pull out my Bible. Sorry, y'all. So yeah, we're close to the end of this, because it talks about how they walked away in peace. And then verse 32, it says, it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Shebath. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And then it starts talking about Esau. And Esau was 40 years old when he took a wife, Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bashmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. And that's kind of how 26 ends. And so Mhm.
Sheba, the oath, well, the oath.
oh yeah, Beersheba is the well of the
No,
oath.
Sheba.
Sheba, the well of the oath. Hmm. I think we had another note because Beersheba has been mentioned a lot
Okay.
concerning this well. A lot has happened at the well of Beersheba. I think that's the same well where, oh no, that was Beersheba Alahoy, which the one who sees me. That was a different well. But yeah, sorry, wrong well. Got it. But yes, I think, but Yah put on the, I mean, not Yah, Tia, through the spirit of Yah, put on the notes. As Yah is establishing his covenant with us, it's so imperative to be comfortable with where you are in your walk and where Yah has you in this season. Yah is raising you up to walk boldly and confident in his word, but we have to understand they will not look the same for everyone. How he establishes you in your walk is designed specifically for you. This is not a walk. I mean, this is a walk, not a race. We have to silence out all the noise around us to make sure that we don't miss what Yah is trying to speak to us. A lot of times we can focus on the outer work, seeing so much knowledge seeing so much knowledge and being a busybody in matters of other men, 1 Peter 4:15, that we forget to take those daily practical steps to do the inner work, such as reading what the word says, evaluating ourselves in everyday interactions with others. Are we walking in patience and self-control and meekness and all the fruits of the spirit, fasting and praying? And are we being renewed and transformed in all the ways in our day to day? We have to allow Yah to build us up on a solid foundation. He has to, like we talked about the kum, we have to allow Yah to establish or raise us up. And respectfully, we just got to mind our business. And so this is the last part of this notes are kind of going into 27. We're probably just gonna like save this for, oh wait, you was gonna break down the word bless.
Yeah, I'm gonna just break down blessed and then we'll just end it. And I didn't do the paleo breakdown for this word, but I will do it sometime this week, and I'll post it in the chat, in the Instagram chat, for everybody. But just when we get into 27, we'll like kind of see how it talks about, well, go back to 25 where it talks about Esau and Yaakov when they were born, and it was saying like, it was pretty much describing their character, and just kind of trying to bring out like in a practical sense, I guess, in like a sense of today of like what Esau would look like and what Jacob would look like in today's time. So Esau, he was the scripture in 25, it says that he was cunning. He was a hunter, he was a man of the field, I put outside, right? He was outside, he was a man of the field, like, he was cunning, which is the word yada in Hebrew. And Isaac loved him and respected him. But Jacob, he dwelled in the tabernacle and he was a complete man, right? So he was a tam man, which is perfect, complete, sound. He had integrity and he was undefiled. It was that's the same word that's used in Job 1:1, that says there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. So those were the characters of Esau and Yaakov. Esau, he was known, he was famous, he was a familiar friend, a man of skill. So when we think about like prosperity versus like worldly prosperity versus what it looks like to be blessed in Yahuwah, we look at the word Baruch. And that word is derived from Barak, which is H1288. And Barak means to kneel, to speak well of. It's a physical expression of submission, humility, and reverence. So that brings us to a conclusion that you cannot be blessed walking in disobedience, right? Because Esau is what we would see today as having some sort of worldly prosperity, right? He was known, he was famous, right? He was respected. And he was known for his skill, right? And sometimes like in today's time, we have people who are the same, right? They're well known, famous, they're respected for their skill, you know, like rappers, you know, writers, filmmakers, you know, like just all kind of people, you know, and even like people in finance, like it can really be anybody, right? Um, but he had no sense of being blessed, I'm sorry, or Baruch in Abba, right? Because he had all those things, but we're going to see later on in 27 how he didn't want the responsibility of the birthright, but he still wanted to be blessed, right? And we can't have both. That's not what it is to be Baruch. To be Baruch is to be humble, to kneel before Yah, to be obedient to Yah, to walk in the commands of Yah, to walk in what Yah, you know, what says Yah, right? That comes with the blessing, right? You have to be obedient. And if you're not walking in obedience, you're going to have a false sense of prosperity, which is worldly prosperity, where other people may be looking at you and it's tangible things that you have obtained, and you know the worldly things that you've accomplished, but there's no sense of kingdom in you. There's no sense of like heavenly treasures that you're storing up. So just kind of wanted to like give the example of like worldly prosperity versus being blessed, because a lot of people will look at somebody who is lowly, right, and be like, oh, God ain't with them. They ain't being blessed. You know, like I'm being blessed because I got 2 and 3 cars and I got $1 million house and I have all these other things, right? And you know, they can look at that as being blessed, but really, in honesty, the person who they're looking at as lowly is the blessed one, right? They're the one that's being obedient and walking in what says Yah. They're the ones that is you know, storing up heavenly treasures. They are the ones that are showing love, you know, walking in love and trying to please the Father. And that's what it looks like to be blessed, because you have a covenant of peace at that point. Like you're walking in peace and you are walking in boldness in what Yah has given you, and you're walking in freedom. That is what it looks like to be blessed. But when you attaching yourself to this world and you thinking that worldly prosperity equates to being blessed by Yah, we have to remember that every blessing, you know, when people call it that, every blessing ain't coming from Yah. And it's a hard concept to grasp for the people who have those things, because they like, why would God allow me to have all these things if he not with me, or if he not allowing me to have it? But in reality, he's giving you over to your heart and heart. So you will have obtained those things in your own strength, in your own will, right? You have obtained the things of the world, but Yah didn't give that to you. Like you strove for that on your own. So I think it's important, and you know, me and Samaria, we were like talking about this, and when we were going over the study, and it's important to really know what the difference is, you know, and be encouraged in, you know, walking in where Yah has you, because a lot of times we look at, you know, and I know that I've gotten caught up in this, you know, before, looking at what somebody else have and like, you know, and be like, oh, like, you know, well, if I'm walking with Yah, you are blessed. Just know in whatever season, situation, or whatever that Yah has you in, if you are walking in obedience to him and his word and his will, you are blessed. That is what it looks like to be blessed. That is what it looks like to have peace. So we just wanted to like really just bring that out. And I don't know if Samaria might have some other things to add to that, but just wanted to kind of give a today's look at like Esau, the Esau's and the Jacobs, you know, of today, in us, right? Where we look at like this well-respected person, but we want to be in the tabernacle. Like I want to be inside. Like I want to be upright. I want to be perfect. Like I want to be obedient, you know, and that's what that's the picture of Jacob.
I also want to bring out the parable that Yahusha said, like, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. And as you start to really break down what it really means to be blessed, you can kind of understand why it would be hard for a rich man to enter into heaven, because the rich man sees all the things that he has in his riches and assumes that he is blessed. So if someone comes to him, if a lowly person who's not as rich as him comes to him and says, hey, if you want to get into the kingdom of heaven, you need to humble yourself before Yah, and it's going to look like you may not be as wealthy because Yah saying you can't do this practice anymore. You can't participate. You can't get money in a certain way like this anymore. And they will look at you like, but you're crazy. Because look at how Yah has blessed me. And it's just like, because we don't have an understanding of what it means to be blessed according to Yah's word. And I'm not saying that being blessed by Yah means you're going to be lowly, because Jacob waxed great. Okay, Isaac waxed great, but it was in respect of to his humbleness and submission to Yah. And so I just know like there's two ends of the spectrum. There's prosperity gospel, which is horrible, but there's also poverty speaking, where like if you have a lot, then you're not righteous, but if you have nothing, then you are right. That's not also true. That's not true either. Okay. And so I just want to make sure that we have a balanced understanding of what Yah says blessed means as we go forward in our as we read the scriptures, and as we get to understand how Yah sees things and how he has designed them, and that his way is always right. But yeah, so so that was our Genesis 25. We're going to pick up on 26, because we don't want to hold y'all too long, because we do want to be able to pray out, but also like cover some housekeeping, because our Bible study, our fellowship is growing, and we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page as we continue to fellowship together, because we don't want anybody to feel like they can't keep up, or maybe they don't understand something right now, and maybe they don't feel like they're welcome to communicate or talk in the chat. I've had a couple of ladies let me know that they haven't interacted too much in the chat, because like it's just a lot. And so I want us to be able to address that together as a family. And so I'm going to cut the audio, and then yeah, we're gonna do our little housekeeping.